Here is the 390 out of the 68 Monterey convertible. It leaks a lot. You can see all around here leaks from the back of the intake. Probably the valve covers as well, probably the oil pan and other seals. So we're gonna, at a minimum, reseal it. But I wouldn't surprise me if we find something that's gonna, you know, cause it to be more than just resealing. Like whether we need to put bearings in it or replace the oil pump, or we find that the valve stems are all at different heights, and because of valves sinking from not hardened seats, you know, who knows. So this will come apart here and we'll see what we get. And also the transmission, which you can see has a ton of caked on oil from engine oil leaks. This is going to get rebuilt as well. It's a C6 with an FE style bell housing. Well, one of the first things I'm going to do here is knock out these freeze plugs. I'm going to replace them with brass. Who knows how rusted they might be on the inside. And if I'm going on a long trip with this, I don't want a freeze plug to rust through and create a bunch of problem. So that's where we'll start, is pulling the freeze plugs. Better yet, I think I'm going to take all these accessories off and then pull the freeze plugs, so I don't have the dripping on my feet. Accessories being all plug wires. I'm going to get rid of these. They're, you know, I got a new set to go on there anyway. You know, valve covers will come off, heat riser will come off, the radiator hoses. I mean, this one's actually pretty like bloated right here. It's got a big bump. That's a matter of time before that comes apart. Fuel pump, oil filter adapter, dipstick tube, all this stuff will come off. Freeze plugs in. Maybe not quite enough on this side, but maybe enough to grip it. And once you get them like this, if I can get the camera on it here, once you get them, knock them sideways, and you can use the like channel locks and pull them out. And it's rusty. There's sediment in there. So the engine block needs to get cleaned out, and well, I guess I lost that one. Usually you just knock them so they're a little crooked, and then you can grab them and pull them out. But if you knock them and they're all the way in, then you got to fish them out. Oh yeah. So take a look. It's a lot of debris on that. And you can see there's quite a bit of debris in the hole. Let me shine a light on it here. Oh yeah. Yeah. So anything that's coating, any type of debris that's coating the inside is acting like an insulator. And the heat's not going to transfer through and out of the engine as efficiently as it should be. So definitely, oh yeah, I mean, gosh, this is a lot of stuff here. Yeah, I mean, just taking those few freeze plugs out, you know, that's what we're dealing with. Bunch of crud and buildup in there, rust and just other sediments that, even though it's a closed system, that's what happens. I guess it's mostly rust and such that forms in there. And so if you're got overheating problems, you want to make sure that that's cleared out real good along with your radiator. If you're replacing the radiator, make sure you clean this out, otherwise this debris is going to circulate and clog up the new radiator. I ran the garden hose through this a little bit. Got quite a bit more stuff, debris out of it, but I think I'm going to roll it over to the bench area now and pull valve covers and see what things look like. Well, this thing is definitely top heavy. The plate could probably stand to be about 3 inches higher than it is, but that's, I had to drill holes in this to make it these reach and those reach. I don't know, it's probably another universal component that's designed on a small block Chevy. Anyway, I'm gonna pull this intake, valve covers, intake, and see what things look like. So I got this nice red tray here for keeping things organized. Rocker shafts come out all as an assembly here, so I'm just going to plop that in here because it kind of keeps itself together. But the push rods, I want to keep those where they belong. This way they go back to where they came from. There, so those will all stay organized. Now we're going to put a straight edge across the valves. That side's pretty good. I mean, we might have a little bit of sinking, but not much. I've seen them where they're up and down quite a bit because the valves are just getting pounded right into the seats, and the seats are too soft. All right, so we'll move on to pulling that intake as well. So I got a rubber band because that'll hold these two clips together here that hold the distributor cap in place, keep them from flopping out. as I'm trying to turn that to take it out, the distributor is stuck in there pretty well. It's got some varnish or something. Oh man. Well, if I can get a screwdriver under it, I might be able to get that out a little easier. Hammer on it too much. I'm just trying to hammer into where that rubber seal is, so maybe I can catch an edge and give it a little bit of prying action here. Probably held in with varnish. Some type of debris holding it in. Here we go. Two screwdrivers to try and pry it up. But again, you got to be careful because you don't want to chip off part of the edge. Kind of work it a little bit here and there. Oh, man. Getting two in there keeps it from getting cocked as well. There we go. All right, boy, that was a little bit of a struggle. Okay, so the intake manifold is off, and there it is on the floor over there. It had a little valley plate under it, I guess, to keep hot oil off the bottom. Don't know if I'm going to go back with that. I'll do a little research, find out how effective it was. Going to pull all the lifters out, put them in this organizer tray. And I recently bought a leak down tester off of one of the tool trucks, and never had one, wanted one for a long time. And not like it's a really necessary tool, but it'll at least, you know, I'll put some compressed air into the spark plug holes. I'll see if it sounds like it's leaking out of the exhaust or the intake or past rings. And this way that'll help us determine whether we're going to pull these heads or even pull the pistons out and give it a quick hone and do new rings. So these lifters, they have some varnish on the bottom. Oh, that one came out easily. But some of them so far have not been coming out. You know, I have to... Well, that one came out too. That's good. Oh, this one might be trouble. Just using some snap ring pliers to get in there. You gotta hold it really tight. And then, yeah, like this one, this is how they were going, where I'll get it part way, hammer it back down with the rubber hammer. Oh, and I got it. Trying not to drop them, because, you know, lifters are one of the most precision machined pieces of the vehicle. So, don't want to bang them around. There we go. Oh, that one came out good. More than half on the left side I had to go back and forth with to get them out of there. But here they are. Okay, we'll pull some spark plugs and then we'll do the leak down test. Alright, so I was about to pull the plugs on the other side and realized how dirty it was around the plugs. So if you're pulling plugs and you have a source of compressed air, best bet is get all the debris out from around the plug, any dust and dirt and any buildup of anything. This way none of that goes down in the hole. Unless you're planning to rebuild the engine, then you don't have to worry about dirt going down the hole. Well, these are 13/16 on this plug. Okay, I mean wow, what the heck? Why are these gaps? I don't think I just did that. I mean, the gap should be open like this. But if you look at this one, maybe I did. I don't know. I mean, it just kind of spun in place. But that's almost closed up. I don't know. Now, if I put it up to the light, I can see, I don't know if camera will show it, but put it up to the light and you can see there is a bit of gap. This one is dark and it looks almost closed, but this one also, oh, you know what, I can see some marks there. They weren't running this way. That was zipping them out with the gun and then it bounced around. Okay, so no, that was me, but not a big deal on plugs. You know, if you're wanting to examine plugs, probably the best way to take them out is not with a gun. But yeah, let's find that leak down tester and hook it up, see what it does. I guess I need two hands to open this. Oh, maybe not. Okay, here's the differential cylinder pressure tester, commonly called a leak down tester. 2 gauges, and the one time I've used one of these before was when I was in vocational school for marine mechanics, and I had set the cylinder pressure at, or the incoming pressure, to 100, and then what it holds over there is, I guess, the percentage of what it's the leak down is. Anyway, so this is the adapter we're going to need. we'll thread it onto the hose, and then we'll thread the hose in place. Might as well start with cylinder 1. And you don't have to get it too tight. We'll hook up the air to this. Let me bring the camera over here so we can see what we're looking at. Okay, I've got air hooked up to it. I'm going to hook up the let's see. Oh, and move the engine. Set that at 100. If that's at 100, should this one be holding 100? Not coming out of the intake or the exhaust. It's blowing past the rings. Oh, it's coming up a little bit. Maybe this thing could use rings. I don't know. Let me review the instructions on it and see how it's supposed to read. Yeah, according to this chart, if we have 100 psi in the gauge, and the left-hand gauge, which is where that regulator was, or let's say you have 95%, it means you have 5% of leakage. So, being the gauge only came up to 30, I mean, you know, that sounds like we have 70% leakage past those rings. I don't know if that's correct, but one thing we can try is we'll squirt some oil down the plug hole and then recheck it, because that oil should seal up the rings. So the gauge is out, and let's put some, I'm going to put some gear oil down here. It's nice and thick. That should travel around, unless there's a dish in the piston, that should travel around. That should be plenty to travel around the top of the top ring and see what happens here. Yeah, it looks, from what I can see in the cylinder, it looks like it's traveling around the outside, or the OD of the piston. Oops. Let's see, where's that gauge go to? Well, it's past 60 now, going up to 70. Huh, 72. And it's now starting to fall as the oil goes past the rings. Huh. Well, I guess we're going to put rings in it. Really no purpose to go any further if that's, as if we got 30% leakage with oil. There's no sense in going any further. We might as well just do rings. I guess that's enough to call it. All right, lovely. But then again, I like to do things thorough and correctly, so putting rings in this is, I'm not opposed to it. But I guess that means now we're going to pull the heads and everything else. here's the heads. I mean, at first glance, I don't really see problems. I mean, that exhaust valve, it seems a little more sunken than that one up there. And that one. Yeah, that one's a little sunk. That one's kind of sunk. That one's up pretty high. That one's up pretty high. Yeah. It's gonna need seats. Man, this is being rebuilt stock. I'm not gonna bore it, tell you that. Just gonna put a hone in the cylinders and replace the rings. Well, I'm not upset, you know, not upset that I can't just reseal it. It's kind of exciting to rebuild an engine. Oh, who am I kidding? It's not kind of exciting, it's tremendously exciting. People love rebuilding engines, including me. Not going to do anything crazy with it though. Not going to do a roller cam, not going to do a stroker crank. Not even going to go with a 4-barrel. It's going to stay with the 2-barrel. That's all this car needs. On convertible, the top goes down so you can enjoy the environment. Not so you can create the environment with a car that has a ton of cam and it's loud and it makes a ton of noise and the engine shakes and everything. Nope, smooth and quiet. Smooth and quiet. That's what I like in a convertible, so I can enjoy the environment. Well, okay. It's almost 5 o'clock Saturday. I'll finish taking apart, get the oil pan off, get front cover and stuff off of there. And then it'll need to come further apart than that. And then I'll have to order some parts. Well, it's coming apart quite a bit more. Looks like the cam retainer plate was broken. And it was still in there. That's good. Now, these plastic pieces, when I saw them in the oil pan, I thought they were, at first glance, I thought they were valve stem seals. But they're not. They're part of the timing chain set that had a plastic gear, and I guess it failed. I don't know. I mean, they had a new set in there, so the timing cover's been off, but maybe it didn't cause any damage. Crank is out, pistons are out. So we had at least one broken ring. Oil in the brake, so I'm going to say it was probably floating around in there, broken ring, and not broken on the way out. Bearings, that number one bearing had some babbitt left. Bearing's gone out of this one, it's stuck to the crank. But they're down to the cropper here. Same with rod bearings. You know, it needs bearings, it needs rings. You can see a little bit of extra wear. See how it happens on the just this side? That's because accessory belt was pulling that crankshaft, the front of the crankshaft up. So if you have the belts really tight, it's going to wear on that front bearing. Alright, well, I don't know how far I'm going to go with this. It's just, you know, at what point do you say, I'm just going to do a little bit, but now it's this far apart. Do we just hone it and throw some rings and bearings and go? That'll probably be sufficient. But I don't know. Or do we make things better? You know, bore it, align hone it, all that. I don't know. I'd hate to get things cleaned up and then put the crank back in, and now all of a sudden it doesn't want to turn once I get a, you know, 3 of the caps in place because the block's a little warped, which that can happen. I'm gonna clean it, do some more inspection, and then we'll determine what to do. Well, the cam didn't just slide out, so I put the slide hammer on it here. Try and get it past. Wow. Man. Now, is that a symptom of a warped block? Or is it just some type of burr built up on the cam bearings? I don't know. We have to do a little research to find out. Going to be a full rebuild. I'm gonna get the block cleaned, get it align honed. We're gonna hone it over, either bore it or hone it, you know, depending on how the cylinders come out. Plus I want to upgrade the piston to something a little more modern, something with a reverse dome versus having just a generic dish in the center of the piston. Also run thinner rings, more modern rings, and you know, it's going to stay a 390. I'm not going to do a stroker crank or anything like that, but it's going to get a full rebuild, and the transmission is also going to get a full rebuild, but nothing spectacular is going into that. You know, maybe a couple upgrades, but nothing Nothing great. I'm pretty happy with the way it shifts, so there's no reason to start drilling the valve body or the separator plate and making it shift firm. You know, it's not that kind of vehicle. So the application is gonna suggest, you know, keeping things mild. Don't know if I'm gonna even upgrade the cam. I'll have to take a close look at that and see if it looks like any lobes are starting to wear off. But we'll see. That's that. I'll keep filming along the way, and till next time, well, I will see you then.